Welcome back to the county seat. We're talking today about indigent defense. It's not a very sexy topic, as we said earlier, because people just make associations about people who need legal assistance and how they're already taking advantage of the system quite often. It's an unfair comparison, and we really want to discuss the real merits on a constitutional basis of how important this really is. So we've got about 3 minutes left, 2.5 minutes in this segment, and it's just running by very quickly. Where do we go to solve the problem?
Well, that's always the hard part, right? Yeah. We could look to the ACLU. I think everyone would prefer to avoid litigation because litigation is expensive, it's time-consuming.
And lawyers get rich, and the public doesn't get helped.
Yeah, and I think, ultimately the hope is that Utah can come up with a Utah-based solution. I think that Utah counties have specific needs and interests that need to be met, and it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, where, what works for Montana may not work here. What works for New York probably isn't going to work here. And so the question is, can we come up with something that meets the needs of rural counties, of Salt Lake County, of Utah County, where everyone feels like their needs are taken care of, and most importantly, where the defendants are getting their needs taken care of.
And I think that's where the model contract will become so critical. If you have all 27, because I'm going to exclude 2 of those counties that don't have contractually obligated defense attorneys, but if you had 27 counties that are all working in conjunction to identify conflict issues, training, and access to investigators, I would hope that the public and someone whose family member has been arrested would know they're going to get adequate representation, and certainly allowed and expected by the standards of both the ACLU and Professor Chang's group of students who've gone out and looked at the counties. It's our obligation to meet that expectation raised by Gideon. I think the counties can do it on an individual basis. I don't see the legislature in this state anytime soon running to a bank and opening up an account to put all the fund in.
But I think the problem with a county-by-county solution is you're still stuck relying on the good graces of whatever county you're in to use the model contract, to come up with the funds to opt in, right? That at some point you need some sort of broader involvement to make sure that the quality of the defense you're getting doesn't depend on what side of the county line you're arrested in.
But I think that with people like you folks who give our county commissioners something to think about, it gives credibility to the attorneys to say, you need to sign this contract, otherwise the ACLU is going to look at us. And the reality is county commissioners they're not foolish. They understand the issues, and they are going to fund it.
Well, we've completely run out of time here on the county seat for this topic. If you'd like to continue this conversation, we ask you to join us on the other side on the internet. We will continue this conversation. And if you're listening via radio, we'll be right back in just a minute.
Coming up in just 30 minutes, you have the West's #1 outdoor adventure show, At Your Leisure. On this week's show, join Chad Booth and Rhea Rossi as they explore Kane County by Jeep. They'll delve into the history and ask the question, how do dinosaurs and cowboys go together? Then Terry and Susan Wood climb on some ATVs in search of a world frozen in time. What they find will challenge your imagination and inspire you to get outdoors. It's all here in a half hour, At Your Leisure at 9 a.m. right here on ABC4.